finally decided to take a bold step. We are going to church, she said firmly to Teju, whose scalp was now covered with maggots. God will heal you, my daughter. We need to go to him for healing. Teju snapped her head up, her face filled with intense anger. No, Mama, no church. All they want is offering and tithes. Prayers for healing that come with envelopes and seed sowing. If money is what they want, let them heal themselves first. Her mother gasped at her words, but Teju was not willing to listen. She had lost hope in churches. To her, none of them could help her. She wanted results, not long services and empty promises. Later that day, her mother's best friend Kemi came visiting. After seeing the state Teju was in, she suggested that they go see a spiritualist who was known for her great powers. I've seen her do great things that doctors and pastors couldn't, Auntie Kemi said to Teju's mother, who was blatantly against the idea. We are not interested in visiting a spiritualist, though, Teju's mother said to her best friend Kemi, when Teju interrupted her saying that she would go. Anything is better than this pain, Mama. If you won't take me, I'll go by myself, she said to her mother, who tried to convince her that such places often brought more harm than good. Teju, desperate for instant healing, insisted on going. She followed her mother's friend Auntie Kemi, who took her to Iya Aba, a powerful spiritualist who lived in the outskirts of town. Her hut was surrounded by herbs, skulls of animals, and strange drawings that sent shivers down Teju's spine. Yet, there was something strange about her presence. Iyaba studied Teju in silence. She then told her to sit before a large bowl of water. You have been touched by unclean hands, Iyaba said, revealing that the wheel carried more than just hair. It carried evil spirits, sent to suck out your destiny to enrich another. Iyaba revealed to Teju that she was used for money rituals. Damilola was no ordinary friend. Her father used her to get young girls who they would use for rituals. Iyaba, after revealing this, handed Teju a calabash filled with crushed herbs and water, instructing her to wash her head in the water. When you are done, I will keep the water here in my sanctuary for 3 days. During that time, you must not speak a single word, not to me, not to your mother, not even in prayer. Teju looked at her confused. You mean I can't speak to anyone for 3 days? She asked Iyaba, who revealed to her that silence was the sacrifice. If your lips move, your healing will vanish, she said to Teju, who nodded in fear. She washed her hair in the bowl, wincing at the sting of the herbs on her wounded scalp. After the ritual, Iyaba whispered a blessing over the bowl and took it inside. Teju, still trembling in fear, walked out of the strange house with her auntie Kemi. As they approached the car, a little girl, no older than 8 years old, stood by the footpath leading outside of the spiritualist's house. She approached Teju, who was now lost in her own thoughts. Sister, the little girl said in a gentle voice, please, can I talk to you? Teju froze. Her heart pounded. Her lips parted slightly to respond, but she quickly remembered the stern warning Iyaba had given to her. Teju clenched her mouth shut and took a step back. The girl reached out again, pleading for just a word, and Teju took another step backwards, her eyes wide in fear. She looked at Auntie Kemi, who immediately stepped forward, shielding Teju with her arm. Go away, you demon, Auntie Kemi said to the little girl, who hugged Teju tightly and walked away. When Teju arrived home, she didn't speak to her mother or anyone else. She locked herself up in her room, crying bitterly as she felt the worms crawling in her hair. She did not speak, not even when her mother knocked on her door to pray for her. The silence felt like punishment and prison, but she endured it because she wanted to be free from the pain that had stolen her peace. That night, as Teju lay down to sleep, she had a dream that terrified her greatly. Teju saw a strange woman chasing after her with a knife. She woke up terrified, drenched in her own sweat. She sat on her bed panting heavily as her hands trembled. The image of the woman with the knife refused to leave her mind. Teju could feel her heart beat faster. She stood up from her bed and reached for her scarf to cover her scalp. As she reached into the pocket of her dress, Teju felt a soft paper. With shaking hands, she pulled it out. It was a small wrinkled note, neatly folded in her pocket. Teju stared at the note, her breath catching in her throat. She didn't remember placing anything in her pocket, so she opened it slowly and began to read. Damilola is innocent. The note read, she never wanted to hurt you. Auntie Kemi, your mother's friend, is the one behind it all. She paid the taxi man to kidnap you on that fateful night. She also made the maggots come out of your head to make you believe that it was the wig. She even went further to pay a visit to Damilola to inform her that you were cursed so that she would stay away from you. Auntie Kemi is not a friend. She wants to ruin your life completely because of her jealousy. Please be careful. Teju could feel goosebumps on her body. She wondered who could have left the note in her pocket when suddenly her mind raced back to the little girl who tried to speak to her earlier. It all began to make sense. The way Auntie Kemi insisted on taking her to the spiritualist, the way she shouted at the little girl, and now the dream. Teju could not believe it. She had blamed Damilola, believing that she was the one behind all that was happening to her. She sat on her bed, clutching the note in her hand as she sobbed uncontrollably. She had pushed away the one person who had truly cared for her and kept her enemy close. When morning came, Teju broke her silence. She told her mother about the note, and her mother broke down in tears, regretting all her actions towards Damilola. A while ago, Teju's mother had a dream where she saw an evil being forcing a wig on her daughter's head. So, when Damilola gifted her daughter the wig, she concluded that Damilola was evil, not knowing that it was her friend Kemi who, through diabolical means, cursed her daughter to make them suffer. Teju in that moment pleaded with her mother to take her to a church, and without wasting any time, her mother agreed and took her to a church which was a short distance from their home. The pastor, after listening to their story, stretched out his hand and began to pray for Teju, who felt an instant relief from the worms that had tormented her for weeks. However, far away from the church, in Auntie Kemi's house, something terrible happened. Kemi, who had been peacefully sipping her tea in her living room, suddenly dropped the cup and screamed out in pain. She stumbled to the mirror, and to her horror, she saw the maggots pouring out of her scalp, just like they had once done to Teju. "No! No!" she screamed, slapping her head wildly. Her neighbors rushed in, only to find her rolling on the floor, scratching, screaming and begging for help as the worms burrowed deeper into her skin. It was clear that the evil had backfired. Teju received her healing, whilst Auntie Kemi suffered the consequences of her evil. From that day on, Teju learned to listen to her mother, who had always tried to protect her, even when she didn't understand why. She tried to reach out to Damilola, who she was told had left the country for her education. Teju spent years healing. She became more prayerful, more discerning, and more grounded. She no longer sought validation in luxury or attention. She now knew the dangers of jumping into hasty conclusions. Auntie Kemi was never seen again. Some said she was taken to a mental institution. Others believe her condition could not be cured, as the spiritual worms never stopped eating into her mind. It was as though everything she had planned for Teju had returned to her sevenfold. As for Teju, her story became a warning to other girls in the community to be careful of the people they trust, and that sometimes the devil wears a friendly face. The lesson to be learned from these stories is that we must listen to the wise counsel of those who genuinely care for us, especially our parents, as their warnings often come from a place of love and protection. Desperation should never lead us to seek help from ungodly or harmful places, and discernment is essential in recognizing true intentions. Above all, humility, prayer, and obedience can lead to healing, whilst pride and stubbornness can open doors to destruction. I hope you enjoyed the story.